Good morning, Limabeast here, working on the 93 Bronco. I have a broken headlamp bezel here, so we're gonna replace that and replace the headlamps on both sides actually, because the headlamps are pretty opaque-ish. And gonna show you guys those clips that are a huge pain in the rear inside, and how to get them off. So we've got our lights from Headlights Depot, and I can never imagine what was in this box, I'm sure, but these lights actually came with a bulb, and pretty nice looking one actually. And the adjuster here, from what everybody says, is better on the truck. I shouldn't use this one, so we're gonna go ahead and back the one on the truck all the way off, take this one off and use the one from the truck. The other two, obviously, the one that is behind the bezel is broken, so we will be using these. So the first thing we want to do is take out these two bolts here, but even before we need to do that, we need to take the battery out. So if you haven't already, take your battery out, and then you can remove these two. These are actually missing on mine since it is broken. So now that we've removed the battery, you can actually see the two bolts that you need to get to. One of them is kind of complicated. It's right there, and I'll take you back out. So you go right behind the battery pan, right down in there. The other one is over here, and you're probably not going to be able to see it, but it's inside this hole right down in here. And basically, if you feel around for it in there, you'll feel there's actually the end of the nut right in that hole, and there is a steer end of the bolt, and there is a nut on the end of that as well. So you loosen both of those, and I would suggest sort of loosening them halfway each, and then taking the whole bezel out. So this whole thing assembly will come out with the turn light and the parking light as well. You'll also want to use an 11mm deep socket, because that long bolt in there needs to go quite a ways before you get to the nut. It might also make it a little bit easier if you remove the headlight retainer. And when you are ready, taking off those two bolts, you come around to the front and you just wiggle. And the whole assembly will come out, and you will need to unhook your side marker and parking light. So as you can see, what you will have left is the actual bolt sticking out of the housing, and my housing is broken here on this side, and on this side you will see nothing. Thank you, that's all. Because that bolt is here, and the other bolt goes here. This is the clip. I've actually already loosened it, but that's where it goes. When you take it off, it looks like this. This one is mangled, unfortunately, on this side right here, but it takes a circlip pair of pliers to put into the two small holes on either side, squeeze and pull apart, and at the same time you also need to get this portion over. There's a little notch right there, and once you get it over that little notch, then this part is free. So if you can put a screwdriver between it and wedge it in there, and then use your circlip pliers to pull it up at the same time, then you will be able to do that. You could probably also do it with a pair of 90-degree needle noses if you had a small enough pair. This is the second clip. Haven't done this one yet. It's a little bit tighter in there, so we'll see how that goes. So for my gripe of the day are these cheap circlip pliers from a hardware store. Thank you, Rooster. They come apart when you pull hard on them. They actually flex, and then they will pop off of that little peg there. So I put some electrical tape over this side to see if that helps keep the one looser side off. But I would suggest, if you can, find a pair of nice circlip pliers. I haven't seen one yet, so in the hardware stores and auto zones. If you have a paint can opener, this makes a really good puller for that stupid little clip. Only problem is mine needs to have the sides cut down just a little bit. It's too wide for the clip, so if you have a Dremel with a grinding wheel on it, that would be a great thing. And just take those sides down a little bit, and don't forget your safety glasses. So my crappy circlip pliers don't even reach down here to this clip where it's able to be wide enough, like the circlip pliers won't open wide enough to let this actually release. So what I've done is I've taken my screwdriver here and I've jammed it in between, let's see if I can get you to see that, in between the edge of the circlip and the plastic little bushing there. And I've got my homemade paint can tool here locked into the slot, and I am going to pull this sideways and wiggle and see if I can flex it loose. So one side of the clip has actually gotten free of the bushing, and now I'm going to try and get the other side of the clip unsprung so I can pull it up with the tool. Good news, the clip is free. Bad news, I have no idea where it went. Hey you, chicken, I'm looking for a rusted brown clip, the color of the ground. Let me know if you find it. So we backed the adjuster all the way out till it's loose using a, what is that, 4mm, and little tapping on the plastic bracket. Should let that slide out and up, and that comes out like that, and there is your removed headlights. Found it! Anyway, so the light is in. The only problem is the broken bolt inside now has to be pinched with the vice grips while I undo the bolt on the back side, but I've got the bezel together and I will put that back in just a second. So we've got the bezel back on. The 2 screws need to go back in when I get some replacements, and we need to obviously adjust our headlight angle here. Bolts are back in. Don't forget to plug up any lights that you took out, and the headlight clip needs to go back on and over your new headlight assembly, and battery back in, and you are good to go. So for the first video for Limabeast, we say see ya.